One of the things that drives loneliness, and as we started looking at this and really trying to better understand the problem, is that the world is so connected. Why are that are less connected now? And part of that is because the behavior that a lot of folks are exhibiting online is they are either doom scrolling or watching endless porn. And these are both sit back and receive kinds of behaviors. You're not volunteering anything into this transaction. You are just sitting there and just swiping up, or just viewing, and you're not actually, you're not actually participating in this behavior at all. And that creates further isolation. So I equate it to having cotton candy for dinner every night. And I love cotton candy, but if I ate it for dinner every single night, I'd get no nutrients and I'd eventually end up with cavities and diabetes. And so it's just not a healthy dinner. And so in moderation, it may be fine to have at the fair every once in a while, but it's not the kind of thing we should be having for dinner every night. And that's effectively what we've done to a large segment of Americans and folks across the world is that their media consumption now consists of a bunch of really tasty cotton candy that is giving them cavities and diabetes. And so our solution to this is to leverage AI to be able to create personas that folks can actually interact with and develop real relationships with. And I know that sounds weird. And a lot of people, when they hear us say, hey, we're going to have, these synthetic, authentic relationships, they go, oh, you're just going to exacerbate the loneliness problem. And we'll see that, I'm open to that criticism, and I hear that criticism, and we try to make sure that we take that into account. But our view is that the behavior that we are replacing is this behavior that is cotton candy-like behavior. And we aren't trying to be, the Brussels sprouts on the dinner plate in terms of the healthy meal of media that we consume. We're probably the mashed potatoes and gravy. We're not the kind of thing that you want to have for dinner every single night and solely just mashed potatoes and gravy. That's also not going to be healthy, but it's a lot healthier than cotton candy. And it brings folks closer to the kinds of interactions that they would have with real people, and it becomes an on-ramp to real life human interaction again. And so that is our hope, and that is our goal, is that by creating synthetic relationships for folks that are disconnected and lonely, and these relationships are based on real people because they are personas that are trained on the actual full corpus of content of these really genius creative creators. And so now all of a sudden these AI personas can be developing relationships with this very lonely set of folks and be able to bring them out of some of this disconnected world that they live in.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you focus on loneliness. When I first came across Me4U, actually, I thought about education, because I thought, okay, how cool is that if there is an amazing educator who created this AI persona, and then other people can actually learn from that person by asking questions. Because for most of us, this is the best way to learn. If we can all have access to the best professors in the world any time of the day by just asking them a question and getting an answer as if we're chatting with them, isn't it amazing? Isn't that how we intuitively learn? So I didn't even think of loneliness. And another thing I thought about was my exited founders, because I see, as I mentioned, there is a trend for these people to want to teach and share their experiences. And I can just imagine someone who built a very successful company, and I've interviewed so many of these people who really, really want to help, young entrepreneurs to learn from them. And they work extremely hard, recording videos, writing books, doing all these things, like really trying to share their wisdom with the world. But wouldn't it be amazing if they could, create this AI clone for themselves who would be there for these people whom they want to help all the time, answering their questions. So do I understand correctly that this is how Me4U could be also used?
Yes, absolutely. And these are our future use cases. You explained some of them beautifully. I think about the use case where I can be standing in front of my computer a year from now, and because it has computer vision, it can see me and the AI can see me, and I'm standing in front of the AI persona of my favorite stylist, and I'm saying, hey, I'm going to an event tomorrow night. Do these shoes match these pants? And is this the right outfit? Should I change? Those are really interesting use cases. Propping up my iPad on the kitchen counter and cooking with my favorite celebrity chef, and so they can see what I'm cooking and see how I'm presenting it and how I'm plating it, and tell me what wine I should be pairing it with. Those are really interesting use cases. the reality is that when we started, we were a text-based chat. And that's all we were. And so none of those really sexy, really cool use cases and educational use cases were available to us. We've now added voice. We will be adding video shortly. So what we want to be enabling is really what feels like a FaceTime call where you're just having a real human interaction video call with the AI persona. And the other piece of it, though, is not just about feature sets, because we need to have those additional feature sets built in. But it's also about, where do you start? You know, what vertical do you, and this is one of the questions that I don't know about the rest of the entrepreneur set, but it plagues me significantly. Where do I start? I almost always am building a platform that has a million use cases in my mind in terms of where it can eventually go. Where do I start in order to be able to get my initial traction, get my initial momentum, rather than trying to just boil the ocean? And so we started with an entertainment use case and a relationship companionship based use case. We think that eventually the idea that you have access to all of these, great folks that will educate you, give you insights, train you. If I want to be an entrepreneur, I can learn from the best entrepreneurs. If I want to be able to be an amazing chef, I can learn from the best chefs. If I want to be able to have the best golf swing, I can learn from the best pro golfers. Those are all things that are use cases that we think will be available to us at some point in time down the road. For now, we're very focused on, let's make it really entertaining, let's make it really interesting, let's make it feel like a companion, and we will build out all the rest of the feature sets. And likely those other use cases will come under a different brand heading, but very similar kind of underlying feature set.
You know what would be fun? One day when you have your own virtual clone, I'll interview that clone instead of you, and we'll compare how well you trained it on your own personality.
Let's come back in 6 months or so, and I think that would be a lot of fun.